The Morsi supporters are continuing their protests on this, the second day of the Eid holiday here in Egypt. They're planning a number of marches from different mosques around Cairo that are due to converge on the main sit-ins at Rabaa al-Adawiya Mosque in Nasser City and at Nahda Square outside Cairo University later on this afternoon. The anti-coup coalition, as the Morsi supporters call themselves, issued a statement saying they're determined to continue protesting until the coup is ended. So absolute defiance there, even though the interim authorities here are warning that they'll move in and disperse those sit-ins imminently. We heard from the interim Prime Minister Hazm Biblewi late last night, and he said that the government are approaching a situation they'd rather avoid. So that would really seem to indicate that security forces will move in soon to break up the protests. But having said that, it does seem unlikely that this will happen during the Eid holiday that lasts for 4 days here through Sunday. I think it's more likely to happen early next week unless some kind of deal can be struck and the protesters agree to leave of their own accord.
Well, Kathryn, you mentioned a deal being struck. Foreign diplomats have tried to mediate a peaceful resolution between these two sides. We saw negotiations break down earlier this week. Where do things stand now?
Well, at the moment, it's looking like the chances of any mediation solving this crisis are pretty slim. I mean, for 10 days, we had representatives from the EU, the US, the United Arab Emirates and Qatar here trying to strike some sort of a deal, but they have now all left. Government sources, however, are saying that negotiations are not entirely over. They've just been frozen, partly to assuage anger among the Egyptian public over perceived international interference in Egypt's domestic affairs. So there's still a slim chance that confrontation over these sit-ins could be avoided. But I think many of the Morsi supporters realise there's really no going back to pre-July 3rd. Mohamed Morsi is not going to be reinstated. And many of the protesters at Rabaa will tell you that privately. But they know they need to carry on with the sit-ins to use as some kind of leverage with the new interim government and the army to reach some sort of deal that they would be happy with. Now, I think if those sit-ins are dispersed soon, then that will be the indication that no deal was reached and that all efforts at mediation have failed.